All right, once I have all of my tools ready, and my clay, I'm gonna start with putting my clay, like bringing it down just like 3 or 4 times on the table to start getting it into a flat piece instead of a block. So I'm gonna slam it down on the canvas, and I'm trying to slam it down on a curved motion, so like on an angle, and that's 3, 4, maybe one more. Okay, so now it's like kind of got a flat shape to it. So the next step I'm gonna do is put my dowels like on the side, and I'm gonna roll with my rolling pin, and I'm gonna roll, since my dowels are kind of far away right now, I'm just rolling in different directions to make it more flat. And notice how I'm pushing on the center instead of the sides of the rolling pin, because I want the pressure, see, I need to make it wider, because I don't want all the pressure going on the sides, because then the center will be really thick and the sides will be thin. All right, so I'm almost at the size, so now I can kind of more focus on these dowels. So my clay is sitting between the dowels, and that helps me to make sure that my clay slab gets about that big instead of squishing too much. If you see the clay start to roll up on the rolling pin, stop right away and go backwards to get it off. All right, so now that my clay's not really moving anymore, I can tell like it's the size of the dowels. So I don't need my rolling pin anymore. My next step is to take my plate, or if I'm doing a bowl, maybe I'll do a bowl for this one. And notice how it's already pre-covered in plastic. You want that because you don't want it to stick to your clay. So then I'm gonna take one of the settling knives, and all I'm gonna do is hold it straight up and down and cut the circle. Now that I'm done, I can take the mold off. And my extra clay, I'm gonna keep this in my Ziploc bag so that I can use this for the feet attachments. So the first thing I'm gonna do is just smooth out around the cut edge. Then I'm gonna find my rubbing plate, which I already have present, and I'm gonna decide which side I want to use. Since this side's really not that dirty, I think I'm gonna use this side instead. So I'm gonna put this down on, and I'm gonna center it because it's gonna go just over the edge a little bit. And I'm gonna push gently. I don't wanna push so hard that it's actually like squishing my slab, and I don't wanna push so hard that my the rubbing plate won't come off the slab either. Once in a while, I'm checking to see how the texture's coming along and if there's any area that I need to do a little bit more pressure on. But notice I don't take the whole thing off until I'm all the way ready. Okay, so you can kind of see my texture. It's kind of like a little bit different on each side, because there's like a line that goes down the middle. All right, so I've got my texture on. If I really wanted some of these like corners or edges, I could just push it down on there a little bit, but I'm fine without those because I don't think it's like completely necessary. But if you want to push down like that, that's fine. So then I'm gonna take my bowl, since that's what I chose to make, and I'm gonna put my texture. I want the texture to be on the inside of the bowl. If I want the texture to be on the outside of the bowl, I'll put it this way. But since I want it on the inside of the bowl, I'm gonna set it over top gently, and I'm trying to make sure it's even on the bowl. And I'm just gently tapping the sides down. Okay, so my sides are all down along the edge. So you can kind of see it's laying down. So my next step is my attachments. So I'm gonna figure out what kind of attachments I wanna do. There's a couple options. I can either do a circle, like a sphere or a ball to attach as feet, or I could roll out like a little small coil and spiral that like a snail shell, right? Like I can do a little foot that way. The other thing is I could also like just take this or a circle and cut it in half and make them like half circles. And I can either choose to put 3 or 4 on the bottom. The other kind I could do if I wanted to is an all the way around full foot, which means I'm rolling like a longer skinny coil, so I can just roll it back and forth gently, separating my fingers a little bit so it starts to grow. And notice how tiny it is. It's much smaller, like it's smaller than even my pinky size, okay? And then when I'm gonna attach this, I'm gonna figure out, I'm gonna put it like in here in this area, so I'm just scratching where I know I'm gonna put that foot. And I'm scratching gently, like I'm not going too hard. I don't wanna go through. And then I'm gonna do the same thing where I'm attaching it to the bowl. Then I'm gonna use one of the little water cups. I'm gonna put a little bit of water on the coil itself, and I'm not pushing on that water. I don't wanna like push down on the scratches that I made. But also notice I didn't pour it on either. I just used my fingers, dab my fingers in, okay? And then I'm gonna decide, like, hopefully I have it long enough to go around. Nope, it doesn't go that far, so I'm just gonna go smaller. So then I'm gonna just slide these, now that I got the size that I want, I'm gonna just gently go over it, smooth them together, slide them back and forth, make sure they're sticking. Yep, it seems to be stuck in place. If they move too much, that means that they're not really staying together. The two clay pieces aren't staying together, so we wanna make sure they are. I'm also gonna take the time to gently smudge over, just like smooth out those textures from the scratches that I made that I didn't need, like just extra scratches. All right, so there it is. Now I'm done. All this extra clay I don't need. That's gonna go back in the extra clay bag. Just ask where that is if you don't know. And then this is gonna stay on the mold until it starts drying, and then your teacher's gonna pop it off. You don't take it off, I will. But you are gonna need to bring it to me before you put it on the shelf. You're gonna have me scratch your initials and your class code with a pencil. So you're not doing this part, I am going to do that for you, okay? And then you're done, time to clean up.